Hello everyone, Eric here, and welcome to my computational science video tutorial. Today I'm going to be looking at condition statements in C++. By condition statement, what I mean is we're going to be controlling the flow of our program based on some sort of condition. And what this really amounts to, we often just refer to it as an if statement. We're going to really look at if control. So I have my default program here. I've opened it up in CLion. We don't really need the hello world, so we're going to get rid of that. I'm going to keep the standard namespace. Really, it's just for the cout in this program. And I'm going to create some integer variables. I'm going to create, x will be equal to 5, y will be equal to 6, and z will be equal to 7. So we just have a few variables here. And what we might want to do is do something based on these sorts of variables. So we might want to say, well, if x is less than 5, if x is less than 5, then we're going to do something, right? So in C++, the syntax for this is we type the keyword if, and then we put parentheses, and then we have the open and closed curly brackets. Now CLion automatically does a lot of the formatting to make my code line up nicely. Now here, inside these parentheses, we're going to put our logical statement. So I can say x less than 5, and this will be the logical statement. And if I write this, then I can do something like cout x is less than 5. Alright, so this is just a quick way to kind of logically set this up. And that's essentially it for how difficult an if statement is. We just say if this, then we're going to do what's in here. Now ifs are often paired with something called an else statement. And an else statement is saying, well, if x is less than 5, we're going to print this. Otherwise, we're going to say something like x is not less than 5. So essentially, if x is less than 5, we're going to do the first thing. Otherwise, we're going to do the second thing. Now, inside of the else, if we really wanted to, we could say, well, if x is less than 5, then we're going to say x is less than 5. Else, we might say, well, if x, if x is greater than 10, then we're going to cout x is greater than 10, right? So we can actually put an if statement inside of an else statement. And then I can put my else statement here. I'm just going to copy this code and put it in. Okay. So, and this one is going to basically be x is between 5 and 10. So you can sort of see we've created this kind of complicated structure. We're saying, well, if x is less than 5, we're going to say that x is less than 5. Otherwise, if x is greater than 10, we're going to say x is greater than 10. Now, if it's not less than 5, and if it's not greater than 10, we know it's going to be between 5 and 10. And that's inclusive. That means it could be 5 and it could be 10 because of the types of equal signs we used. If we had, or I should say not equal, because of the less than or equal to, if we put the equal here, then it wouldn't, then 5, then we would have to say less than or equal to 5. So here, between, I'm kind of including the endpoints, kind of like when people say pick a number between 1 and 10. Now, this is generally how ifs work, but there's actually kind of a secret thing we can do. If we don't want all of this indenting, this else statement we actually don't need it. Well, we need it, but we can actually just sort of delete the brackets around it. And if we put the if on the same line, we no longer need this indenting. So we sometimes refer to this as an else if statement. And with the if else if you go through and actually work out the logic, you'll notice that it doesn't matter if this final if is inside and related to this first one or the second one. So with an if else if, it's kind of interesting the way the logic works. But we can basically say if something, else if something else. And what's going to happen is it's going to try this first one. If this first one is true, it's going to print this. And then it's going to go all the way to the end and continue. If this first one is not true, then it's going to keep trying all the different else ifs that we can put in here, you know, because we can keep turning else's into else ifs and keep dragging this out. And that's just kind of the basis of how these if and else ifs work. Now I quickly want to remind you of some of the Boolean logic operators. We can use a double equal to compare equality. We can use not equal to see if things aren't equal. We have less than or greater than, or less than or equal to, sorry. We have greater than and greater than or equal to. And these four all kind of work as we're used to from math class. The equal sign I do like to always point out because it is two equal signs, not one. And then not equal is always the exclamation point followed by an equal sign. So these are kind of the basics of doing some conditions, you know, the basics of an if statement. We need to understand true and false statements. When we're here in, you know, when we're inside the if parentheses, it's looking for something to be true or it's looking for something to be false. All right, let's run this and make sure that everything works and we get some sort of result. X is equal to 5, so we should be getting x is between 5 and 10. It should fall to this final one. All right, I'm not quite sure why it's taking so long to build, but there we go. And we see our result. X is between 5 and 10. I didn't use Y or Z, I just threw them in there because I thought maybe I would. But I don't want this video to drag on for too long, and I think that the idea of an if statement should be pretty clear here. So that's it for this video. Thank you for watching, and keep on coding.